instead to let us see what we can reuse, recycle, resell.
Is there one individual who gives leadership to this?
To the whole
To the whole,
organization.
Yeah.
Eric Kirkendall is making it, he's putting in a lot of time doing this. Probably after Eric, I've dedicated the most time to it, especially in terms of the physical plant, setting up the space, weighing different priorities. We have a lot of people doing a lot of different things in that one space. And so I've had a lot to do with trying to accommodate all those different activities in the space. But really Eric is in charge of it and has borne the brunt of our financial losses so far, I imagine. If the thing with KU works out well and some of the other endeavors we've got going and we get sustainable, then, you know, then you won't have to worry about that so much. You can just do a little bit of the management part. I'll go on the record right now. I'd like to see this become my full-time job. Right now I don't get paid for the time I spend on organizing there or anything. I get paid when I go out and you know, give a presentation.
well, I would imagine something like this needs some kind of leadership to succeed, or am I wrong?
Well, yeah, I can tell you Hammerspace has a very strong leader. I'm pretty sure that guy in the picture, I think that's right. And Eric's been, I guess, a strong leader in our space. At the same time, we meet every Tuesday and we get, you know, 20, 25 people to really talk about where everything's going. And then the individual projects all have leaders who are managing them.
So is it run by committee?
It's, well, I think mostly it's kind of a democratic thing where we decide what we want to do. It's up to the members what happens. And a lot also has to do with who shows up to put in the work. You know, what happens there is whatever people make happen. So there's a lot of people who have really great ideas about things that should happen, but if no one's willing to put in the time to make it happen, that is not a priority. It just doesn't happen. Does that answer the question? Am I missing something that would help me make it a better makerspace?
No, it just seems to me that an entity this large and complex that has as many things being tossed in the air at the same time, and a physical space and a potential profit possibility needs some kind of direction or leadership, some kind of director or executive director.
That would be Eric.
Maybe that's not.
That's Eric Kirkendall.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Who can make decisions? Who can?
Yeah.
In order to get it on a more firm foundation, are there grants that you can go after to help?
There's been some action in that direction, and we've done some things that are some cooperative ventures that involve grants, and I'm sure more will be happening. So far, we have not received a lot of grant money. So far, I think we've received an insignificant amount of grant money. However, we are talking to people about that. I think one of the things we need before we'll get significant amounts of grant money is more of a track record. I think a lot of times that's what they're looking for in an organization like this before they'll sink money into it. But as we develop our track record, it's almost a year now, I think our chances improve a lot. And you know, and like I said, there's some real interest in some serious funding possibilities. We'll see what happens with that.
Has anyone secured a copyright for whatever bright idea they came up with?
Well, yeah, actually, I did see a copyright on somebody's work today. In general, I don't really know who's doing anything like that. My guess is that there's not a lot of active copywriting or patenting going on in the makerspace yet. If we get to something where there's some big venture that really needs protection, then we'll have to explore that. Unfortunately, patents and copyrights aren't what they used to be. And a lot of the stuff we're doing would be protected by a patent rather than a copyright, I think. And these days there are people whose whole business is looking through patent filings for things they can rip off. So it's a great way to alert your potential competitors to what it is you're doing, and then questionable how much protection it gives you. But we may end up doing that.
What's the best time to visit if you wanted not to go to a show, but just to see the actual resources there and the equipment? And
7:30 Tuesday night, come to a meeting, kick in a couple bucks for pizza, and the beer's free. Paul, you wanted to ask a question a while ago, and I didn't
I just wanted to give a plug for next week. Community Village Lawrence, which had stayed at the
What's happening next week?
Community
Village
Village
Lawrence.
Lawrence, which is at the Makers, had their office.
Yeah, their office. They use some office space
Yes,
in our space.
I mean they
What are they doing next week?
the forum next week.
Oh, they're presenting here next week.
Yes.
Oh, I should have saved that one for the very end. Okay. Well, don't miss that next week. They're doing amazing stuff, helping people stay in their homes. Also, you asked about when to visit. When people are not at work, you know, evenings and weekends are the best time to catch people there. What day was it? I was there Tuesday. That would be yesterday. No, Monday. It was Monday. And it was really cool. I was working on my presentation. There was a person there who I only know as a beginning fine artist. And she was taking apart a notebook computer and repairing it. There was this guy doing the oil paintings. And then there was another guy practicing his DJing skills. All at the same time, the same members of the same group. Saturdays, we often have classes and workshops throughout the day on Saturdays. And then Sundays, it's hit and miss. Sometimes there's several people in there working on projects, sometimes not. I can give you the phone number. 785-380-9083. It's symmetric. And yes, it's a Topeka number because it's a Google Voice number that works through the internet. And if you dial it now, my phone will vibrate in my pocket. So yeah, it doesn't hurt to check. We publish some hours when there will be somebody there, but that's been kind of spotty too about who's there when. I'm almost always there Tuesday afternoons. Other questions?
How does Barbara Curry fit into all this? Is she one of the founders?
She's one of the founders. She's the brain scientist I talked about a few times, who's been doing the EEG monitor stuff and turning brain waves into
Is she
visual
more into
art.
research than she is into teaching?
You know, I wasn't prepared to answer that question because I only see the research side of it. I'm sure she does like to teach a lot, so I'm guessing she's doing a balanced amount of teaching and researching. She's taught several things at our space, and there have been other opportunities outside where she's been teaching, so I don't know how the balance.
What's the penguin that shows up once in a while?
That's the logo for Linux, the open source free operating system.
There it is.
There he
Ah.
is. I should know that penguin's name, but I don't. We had a Linux install festival where if you were tired of Windows or whatever you were running on your computer, you could come out, bring your computer, and we would turn it into a Linux computer on the spot. And along with the install festival, it wasn't just there in the space, it was also online. Anyone in the world could log in and get a copy of the operating system. We ran that for a while there, I think for a month or two. More like 1 month, now that I think about it. I think we had to dismantle it in order to do a Final Friday gallery show, because we had tables full of computers connected to the internet serving this stuff to people, and people logging in. A whole lot of people were logging in and downloading the operating system.
People just bring supplies sometimes just to donate and say, hey, I've got some stuff if you want to play with it? Or...
Yeah, all the time. People drop by and just bring stuff. We've had a lot of tools for the workshop donated. Somebody last night showed up with a coil of tubing, and I don't know what we'll use the tubing for. I have to talk to him and see if I can find out what that stuff is. But yeah, we have people donating stuff all the time, and we're always interested. Pretty much anything except a radial arm saw or something that produces flames. For the most part, we don't want things that are producing flames or really dangerous tools. We have a bunch of salvaged wood right now. We could always use other dimensions of wood, but boy, if it's 2x4s, we have a pile. We took apart these things. See these A-frames in that picture? We took those apart because we're not using them in the gallery anymore, so we have all the lumber from those, all the 2x4s. Yeah, you know, another project that someone did there, you know, if you know the piano at Cotton's hardware store, it's been there out front for years. People actually do sit down and play that piano, and that piano just got refurbished in our space. She brought it in and took it all apart and meticulously fixed everything, put it back together, repainted it, and it's back at Cotton's now, ready to play. Any other questions?
Well, you mentioned about things that make flame. How do you deal with people doing, I don't know, using, shall we say, more advanced tools like machine tools or welding equipment or stuff like that?
Right.
Do you
Good
have-
question. What we're doing, for the moment, we're trying to monitor people, just, you know, like watching out for each other. We hope to adopt the all the working rules of the Kansas City Woodworkers Guild with some modifications and additions. They have a really good system that they've developed over years of working. They have something like 200 or 300 woodworkers who have hashed out what it takes to run a safe shop, and they've done this for a long time without any significant mishap there. You know, I think a dented wall was one of the worst things that they got, and that's pretty darn good for the number of people they have working with power tools there. So Joe Anderson is one of our contributors, and she taught at Van Gogh, and she had already made some modifications to those rules, and so that's basically what we're going off of. And when we really want to get rolling, we're going to have books of that stuff printed up and certification classes for people to use stuff. Right now, our certifiers aren't sufficiently certified. So we just have to watch out, and if we see somebody doing something dangerous, you know, cry foul. Any other questions?
What kind of picture that picture?
That was Valerie, she calls herself a seamster.
Okay.
You know, there's no more actresses, right?
Yeah.
Everybody's an actor,
Yes.
and so she doesn't call herself a seamstress. She calls herself a seamster. Anything else? Okay. Thanks a lot. Oh, what?
I was gonna ask how much.
What? One more question?
Well, what do you guys do with computers then? Or is it you did the thing with the Linux, and do you do any kind of classes for that, or
Yeah.
for computer work, or?
You know, we ought to just do a basic computer class. Just basic computer literacy would be a good thing. We haven't done that. We've done a bunch of different things with computers. Using computers for art, the classes in Adobe software,
Okay.
Photoshop, InDesign, Illustrator. The 3D printing is all computer controlled. The CNC machining is computer controlled. The robotics is computer stuff. We have people building little microprocessor boards and programming them to operate automated machines, robotics. Also just have people who are just going in and using the computers to find stuff on the internet and, you know, just basic computer use. We have one machine that's dedicated to the Adobe software that's just going to be a graphics workstation. And we probably want to have a few others that are just more general purpose setup. Also, you know, we're setting up a couple computers for ECM. ECM is one of our customers that I'm making a couple new computer stations for, so people can come here and get access to the internet and stuff like that. It's a good point, though. I mean, you didn't actually say we should teach some basic computer classes, but that would be.
That would be one area, yeah, or even
Yeah.
to repair, refurbish old ones like that, you know?
Yeah, and we had one class, actually maybe more than one, in silk screening using a computer. You can actually make the screens for silk screening using the same computer using mostly the same setup you use for 3D printing, because a silk screen is just a very shallow 3D print.
Okay.
In fact, the software that we're using for 3D printing is silk screening software. But after you lay down one layer of silk screen, then you move up and lay down another layer of silk screen. If anybody has any more questions, I'll be happy to talk to you afterwards. Thanks a lot.
Great presentation.
Thanks, Paul.